All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. And right here, right now, we actually have a Compton hip hop veteran. This individual has been doing stuff since way back in the early 90s. This individual has worked with some of the biggest players within hip hop. We got the one and only K9 right here live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing real good. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome, man. It's definitely an honor just to be able to converse and chop it up with a legendary individual like yourself this evening.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Just doing my part, man. Doing my part and keeping the wheels spinning on this West Coast thing.
But I know you're a busy guy, man, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, but I want to take you back to like the beginning of your amazing career, and I have to ask, what actually sparked the career of K9? What actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Well, initially, you know what I'm saying, how we used to, break dance on cardboard through Compton and stuff like that, and, the guys was pop locking, and you had guys that was rapping. And, I started with the break dancing, and then me and my cousin kind of got into trying to rhyme, listening to the rhymes. We had the little, when the radio station came on, we had to have a little Radio Shack tape recorders, to catch that recording, because that was the only way you was really going to get a cassette tape or something. And it just sparked me, man, from listening to that, listening to rap, and then I just kind of, we started trying to write and started trying to write. And this was like, we talking about elementary school time.
And I gotta say, I think every kid back in those days, man, had one of them Radio Shack recorders, man. I personally had one myself, man. If I could actually find some of those old tapes, man, I'd probably destroy them.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I think I still got some of those recordings, actually, man, but not that old back, but some like, right before I started recording on 4 tracks and stuff.
But also as well, man, in the year 1993, I actually read that you were a street promoter for Eazy-E's project Real Motherfucking G's. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about that, and of course, how did you actually become Eazy-E's promoter?
Well, the thing is, my cousin is a DJ Speed, and through that, Speed would do things like, at the rodeo swap meet, with Mr. Yano, and bring records up there to get stuff promoted, and let's do it like that. And I just started like kind of easing in the game and started being out in a lot of spots, and people started recognizing me being out. I was very young at the time, and people started recognizing me being out at the spots and having CDs and stuff, and having not actually CDs but like cassettes and wax. And then it just like, while I was trying to rap, it kind of like fell in place that I was already being still in the industry, so I started kind of like passing stuff out, like records and stuff.
And I gotta say as well, man, I actually did not know just until now that DJ Speed is actually your cousin, man. I gotta say, DJ Speed, man, is a legendary individual, man. That has such a huge part within the Ruthless legacy, man. In my personal opinion, I feel sometimes he doesn't get enough credit that he most definitely deserves.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, because when you're like, he's in the music, but like, being in the back scenes and a lot of the stuff, the important stuff behind the scenes is like, he wasn't really chasing camera, stuff back then. He wasn't like chasing. He was more like taking pictures and chilling and doing what he had to do.
And also as well, man, aside from Ruthless and Eazy-E, you also had the opportunity to promote for the legendary Def Jam record label. I was wondering, how did yourself and Def Jam get connected? And of course, what was it like being one of their promoters? Because back in the 90s, Def Jam was one of the biggest labels within hip-hop.
Well, it started through through DJ Train. DJ Train, rest in peace. DJ Train had hooked up my DJ Ace to DJ for Mello. It was Mello on Papa C Records, and then later Mello and them had got a deal with Def Jam West, which was through Def Jam RAL, Rush Associated Labels, and actually they seen that I was already promoting, and they brought me on as a promoter. So I just started picking up more. When I picked up that Def Jam, that account through them, I just picked up more promotions and just kept going. The list of promotions go a long, long way. Like mostly every song that was hot that you heard, like I had my hands on those records, like from a lot of known names, from Tupac to Scarface to Face Mob to to the Loonies. Like I remember at one point I was one of the almost first hands that had the Loonies project, the whole I Got Five on it project, and I remember promoting it, and I remember like the negative response it was getting when I first started promoting it, and why other promoters didn't want to pick it up and they didn't want to touch it. You know, they would say like it's just another weed song, because Mighty Cloud, the Smoke that came out, Mello that came out with the Blaze It Up, Mr. Grimm that came out with his Indo Smoke, and a lot of promoters was like, yeah, whatever, you know, it's that. And I pushed it. I pushed that album, that song, like really, really hard. And then everybody jumped on it.
And I gotta say as well, man, a lot of critics as well, man, will listen to a song and won't even actually sit back and listen to the full thing. They'll listen to maybe 30 seconds and be like, crap, but they need to realize just because you listen to 30 seconds doesn't mean 30 seconds to me isn't enough to fully digest a song, in my personal opinion. You have to at least listen to the entire thing.
Yeah, that's most definitely like listening to a song. It's kind of like when we used to have these meetings, like, you know, Def Jam will throw these meetings at like what was it, Cooley's Kitchen? I believe it was Cooley's Kitchen, where we had these listening parties where they would bring all the DJs in, they would bring the promoters in, and we would get feedback from different songs, and we would like really listen to it, like really, really listen to it. And they would talk about the artist, like this is the artist, this is where city the artist lives in, and get a feel of it. You know, get a real feel of the artist and the music. And that total game right there is totally gone right now in this music industry. Like, that don't happen anymore. It's out the window.
And before we move off the topic of you actually being a promoter, I know that you also promoted for other legendary labels like Rap-A-Lot Records, and the list goes on. And I know we probably don't have time to get into all of it tonight, but the one thing I have to ask, man, because obviously you promoted a lot of great legendary projects, as we already talked about, like Eazy-E's Real Motherfucking G's, the Loonies. Was there one project, man, that you actually got in your hands where you're like, holy crap, like I'm actually promoting this project? Was there one where you actually had a surreal moment that like, wow, I'm actually doing this shit?
I would say at one point, like it got to when I started promoting soundtracks. When I started promoting soundtracks, like, you know, that's when it dawned on me, like, man, and most of the record companies were trying to, like, because I was still trying to push my career rapping, you know, I was still trying to, this was just something I was doing to make money and trying to keep going and still be a part of the industry without being out of the industry doing something else. And basically, most of those records were just like they were just like out there, man. And I kind of just got into it and just kept pushing and kept going, kept going at it. And those records that really got me going was like, the gang related Tales from the Hood. Those were the ones that really, like, I was like pulling up in limos at the movie premieres, like, okay, I'm working this project, it's like, wow, I'm working this project right here. Those really got me.
And also as well, man, venturing into the millennium, in the year 2001, you were actually featured on Killa Tay's Thug Religion album on the song Shady Game. I was wondering, how did yourself and Killa get connected? And of course, what was it like just being in the studio collaborating with him?
Actually, we didn't. That's somebody else that actually used my name and did stuff. My name was really, really hot as not with a face to it, and a lot of artists came out under my name, which didn't really a lot of artists came out with my name, but didn't really like succeed to make enough money to sue them.
But I gotta say, I'm glad I actually brought that up, man. That way, if other individuals happen to come across that project thinking it's you and buy it just for you, they'll know by hearing this interview that, like, nah, that ain't the real person.
Yeah.
But also as well, man, on July 4th of 2009, you actually released the album titled Independence Day. I was always wondering, man, what is the story and inspiration behind this phenomenal project? And of course, is it still available to be streamed or purchased today? Because in my opinion, man, that album is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I was in a great moment of my life when I made Independence Day. You know, I hooked up with a few producers, Peanut, a few producers from the Bay Area, and some incredible artists, man. And when I was making that album, it was just like that album. I named that album that because I kind of was promoting all the artists, and I don't want to downplay the artists that I was promoting, but I was kind of seeing that basically the record company was getting all the money, you know, and getting everything. And right before I recorded Independence Day and I started working on it, I tattooed Full Deck Records on my arm, and just as a reminder to don't worry about looking for a record deal. Don't worry about it, because the guys that I've seen that looked for record deals and had record deals, they didn't have the bag. They didn't have anything that that they should have. They didn't have the stuff that they should have. And that's where Independence Day came from. It's about me being independent. It was really about my day of being independent and putting this album out. I had albums before that actually were never put out.
And I have to ask, do you think you actually might initially put those albums out in the future and let the world hear these other phenomenal projects?
Yes, most definitely I will, because actually my first recordings, I did stuff at DJ Speed's house in Compton on Thorson, which was under No Hype Productions. That was way back, and I did from there. I kind of recorded at Echo Sounds, which was really expensive back in the day, and I funded everything to do that. But I have the 2-inch reels from there. I have some 1/4-inch reels. I have some DA88 tapes. So it's K9's vault. I still have all my masters.
And also as well, man, on the Independence Day album, man, you actually have dozens upon dozens of legendary features, with one of them being MC8. I was always wondering, man, how did yourself and MC8 get connected? And of course, what was it like just working with a member of Compton's Most Wanted?
Oh, that was a real good blessing. 8 is a real good dude, man. He's a real good dude, real solid dude, man. And that story of me choosing to work with 8 on that album was one of my good friends, Lionel Whiteside, which they called him Maniac, and he was from the same hood as MC8. And literally, when he used to come around me, because his family lived on my street, he used to always speak highly of him, speak good of him. And I said, all right, one day, I'll do a song with him. I'll do a song with him. And it just, after Lionel died, and MC8 showed up at his funeral. His funeral was in Looters Park, so at the cemetery. So when 8 showed up to that, it let me know that, all right, he didn't just talk about 8, like celebrities, people talk about celebrities. He actually showed up to his funeral when a lot of people that knew Lionel didn't show up for his funeral,
I gotta say, man, that's definitely some solid stuff, man. But anyone that knows MC8 knows that he's actually a solid individual, man. If he fucks with you, he fucks with you.
Yeah, that's real. So he was real solid on the project. He came through. He blessed me. Like, me and 8 has done a few songs together, and we still got some other stuff that's unreleased. We have a song that's unreleased called "Bang This" in your Impala. So we still have some stuff in the making that we'll probably do later too, also.
And also as well, man, in 2013, you actually released another phenomenal album titled "Born and Raised in Compton." I was wondering if you can actually shed some light on this amazing project, and of course, where can our listeners actually check it out if they haven't already done so?
Okay, well, everything anybody can check out on me is at my website, which is www.k9musiconline.com. That's my website. I run that website. It's all ran through me. So um, that's where all my information, any kind of information of any movies I've been in or any documentaries, it's all on there. And that's where they can basically reach me at. Now we'll talk about Born and Raised in Compton album. Born and Raised in Compton album was me being on. It was inspired from me being on tour, and I believe it was 1994 with on the Def Jam tour, and we did a college run with Method Man, Redman. We did some stops with J.O. Felony. It was a bunch of people that were signed to Def Jam West, and we met up with a lot of people, and basically that album basically was because I was traveling around the world that people was like, "Hey, are you from Compton?" And they have so many questions to ask about. In '94, they had so many questions to ask about Compton because there was like more LA. So they're like, "Oh, people ask, were you born there? How long you lived there?" Just a lot of questions that came along with it. And if you listen to that Born and Raised Compton song, it's me, Ace Loke, and Kibo the Hefe. So we're basically, if you listen to us talking, we're basically talking about, growing up in Compton, and it's basically talking about the questions that people ask us when we're out of Compton.
And also as well, man, on May 1st of 2014, you were actually featured on Ruthless Propaganda's Ruthless Memories, an album that was actually dedicated to the late, great Eric Eazy-E Wright. I was wondering, what was it like just partaking in that project with all these other legendary individuals? And of course, how did you get connected with that West Coast hip-hop label?
Well, I was Sergio was running the website at the time. He's still running it. So Sergio was running the website, and I met Sergio online while I was promoting my stuff, and he was promoting his. I seen what he was doing. I always been for anything that anybody's doing for Eric. I've always been for that because I pay homage to Eric. I've always gave him his life anywhere or whatever. I always represent for Eric. So I think he was doing it, and he was just starting. So I told him, I was like, "Hey, any help you need with this, I got you. Any help, anything you need, anything that you need, I got you with this. Whatever you're trying to do, just let me know, and I'm with you on it." So it started gradually growing. He started throwing events. I helped him out with the event. I was a part of everything. Anything he needed, I was there for him. So he started putting songs together for a mixtape. He started putting those songs together for that album, and he gathered everybody, and got their parts and their songs. Had Ulix and Ahmad beats, started sending beats, and everybody was sending beats, and people just were doing it. And when we did it, the project just came off so incredible because actually we did the Eazy-E tribute. We actually performed. All of us came and performed those songs. So it was a real good thing, and the family was there. It was a real good thing to do to honor him.
And I gotta say, it definitely was a phenomenal project, man, in my personal opinion. It had so many legendary and just amazing songs on it that people are listening. You haven't checked out that project, make sure you look it up and actually check it out, man. Definitely phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. And for the Born and Raised album, after Independence Day, I had kind of chilled out for a little bit on the music, just dealing with the music industry. I kind of chilled out on it for a little while, and me and a producer in Germany called Alan, we hooked up, and he started producing, and he actually sparked a good fire in me to start doing more and more songs, and that's how we was able to complete that album, Born and Raised. Because Alan produced a lot of that album, and that's what we created a company called Cali Germ, which is California, Germany, and that production company has done things, and that's why that album was able to come out because he pushed me hard, and we motivated each other to finish that album.
And also, as well, man, in the year 2018, you were actually featured on the hip hop documentary titled Where's the Soul? I was wondering if you can actually shed some light on this phenomenal documentary. And of course, where can our listeners actually check it out if they haven't already done so?
I believe it's on Amazon Prime. They could, and the company has hard copies. They also have hard copies, hard DVDs and Blu-rays for sale on that. But I know it's right now. It's on Amazon Prime, and they could type in the address. They can just type in Google "Where's the Soul," and actually, if you Google "Where's the Soul" and you type in K9 Compton, you'll find it really fast. And that project came about where they actually contacted me and sat down with me, and we had a few meetings, and then we actually we recorded that, like, maybe I would say before it came out. I would say we actually recorded like 10 or 8 years before it came out.
I gotta say, I actually when I sat down and watched that, I wouldn't have even noticed that it was actually filmed like 10 years ago. Do you know why it took them that long to actually initially release it?
I have no clue, man. I just, I would. They're actually working on some more stuff right now, but yeah, that took. I think it took a while. I don't know if they were going through the legal stuff of putting it out or whatever they were doing, but it took a while to put it out. I was a part more of the making, not more of a part on the other side of it, but it got put out and it's doing pretty good on sales right now.
But also as well, man, I have to ask, what is next for yourself, K9? Is there anything we happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the Canadian airwaves this evening.
Well, actually, on my website, is up and coming information, tours, and I know we didn't talk about the tours I've done just off my music, which is me and BG Knockout did the Japan tour. Then me, Dre's son, DJ Yella, Eazy-E, E3. We did the tour over in Australia. So those are some pretty big tours. Having merchandise, and all my merchandise is available: T-shirts, hats, hoodies, and CDs. Everything is available on my website, which is is k9musiconline.com.
But also, K9, this is the time in the interview, man, that I give a chance for the individual that slides through the radio station airwaves, just like a chance to give, like, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything K9 related if they're not already doing so.
All right, for sure. All right, so my Twitter is K9 Compton. That's my Twitter handle. My Instagram handle is K9 Music Online, which is the same as my website. And then, of course, my Cash App is K9 Compton also. Had to slide that in there, but it's all good. But yeah, man, those are basically like, if you want to really find me and find my music, you can just type in, www.k9iTunes. You can type in www.k9compton.com. Like, you can just do that. It's all linked to my website. And also, you can actually type in www.comptoncowboy. It's all going to take you to my website, because those are, URLs and stuff that I own.
But I gotta say, first and foremost, man, it definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege to welcome you here on the Canadian airwaves this evening, man. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, man, definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there in Compton.
All right, check it out. So I want to give a shout out to, definitely want to give a shout out to the Most High God. And I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to myself for enduring all this. Everything I've been through the fuckery, through the ups, the downs in this industry, because it was a lot of them, and it still is. They still arising. So, and especially give a shout out to all my staff and my crew, and the ones that's resting in peace, like DJ Train, just most of the people that was a part. One of my producers had died while we was making albums, which was a kill, and D, my boy D. So it's a lot of people that died along this way of making music. That before these projects came out, they didn't really get a chance to be a part of it and take those limo rides and do all that stuff that we was working hard to do. We were working so hard to do. And rest in peace to all the legends. All the legends, Mixmaster Spade, Eazy-E. All the legends out of Compton, Biggie, Tupac, like all the legends. That passed along the way of this journey of music.
And I gotta say, man, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a bit of your time, man. Like I said, it definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege. We got K9 in high rotation, man, so we're definitely going to get to some of your music right here, right now, man. But for now, definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there in California.
Oh, you too, DJ Marl. Thanks for having me.
You're most certainly welcome, man. We definitely shall talk soon.